What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And of course, because we just all watched the game, today we got the New Orleans Saints versus the San Francisco 49ers recap and review. And man, this is one of those games where you're just sitting there thinking afterwards, like, was it worth it? Was what we went through to win this game worth the win on the record books? It really depends on what we're about to talk about here in a little bit, and that is the injuries that the New Orleans Saints suffered throughout this game. So before I get into that, I would like to say I'm sorry for not streaming. I was having cable problems, and I ended up having to watch a stream on my laptop, so it wouldn't have been able to work at all. So I apologize for that. We will be streaming soon. I'll let you guys know when in the community tab when the next time we're going to be streaming is. So appreciate you guys not hanging me for that because, I said I was going to stream and I couldn't. I apologize. But this game wasn't one that I would have enjoyed streaming anyway, man. This was a weird game. And I know we won, but, bro, it felt a lot more. There were so many individual little losses that we took throughout the game that winning the game just feels less than it would usually. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like a good win. It was ugly, and we sustained a ton of injuries. But nonetheless, a win is a win, and the Saints are improved to 7-2 on a 6-game win streak, boys. 6 games in a row. That says something about this team, even though the adversity we had to overcome in this game. At the end of the game, the Saints and the 49ers were a pretty darn equal team, bro, because the amount of injuries we took during this game were ridiculous. So let's go ahead and go over the score first. The New Orleans Saints hung on and won 27-13 against the San Francisco 49ers, but the reason why this score is so impressive to me is because let me go over this right here. So I understand the 49ers had a ton of injuries. I get that. But they've been playing through a couple of weeks with it. They knew what they were coming into this game with through practice. They practiced with the roster they had. They played a pretty good first half but fell off a cliff. Either way, they knew what they had coming into this game. The New Orleans Saints lost Andrus Peat. He ended up returning, but they lost Andrus Peat at one point. Drew Brees, which this is a big one that we're going to have to talk more in depth about, was out of this game with a rib injury. He came out the first half and sat through the entire second half, didn't play a snap in the second half. Jameis Winston took over, so that's pretty alarming. We all think it's a rib injury because he came into this game wearing a flak jacket on his ribs, which he never does. And then after a big hit, got up slow, looked a little bit winded, looked a little bit out of it, and then ended up just sitting the rest of the game out after handing off a touchdown to Alvin Kamara. So that's a bit concerning. We don't know the timetable on that one, but we will talk about it more later this week. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who had a massive game we're going to go over here soon after I bashed him. You know, that's what the Saints players do. After I bash them, they go crazy. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson got out with a pretty nasty-looking arm injury. He was making a tackle, fell on it weird, and he was in pain. We're not sure what happened there either. We're hoping for like a muscle pinch or some type of sprain, or maybe he pulled something. He was having a cramp. Anything but what what could be bad in that situation, like a torn muscle or a broken arm. It didn't look like it broke. It was probably just something mild. That's what we're hoping. Teron Armstead got hurt. Traquan Smith on a very dirty hit ended up having to leave the game because of a concussion. Josh Hill left with a concussion as well, and Marshawn Lattimore was hurt also. So there were so many injuries throughout this game for the New Orleans Saints that it just, like I said, has me like wondering, was this game worth winning at that price? I think a lot of these players that left the game early are going to be able to play next week against the Atlanta Falcons, but honestly, boys, I can't say anything for sure. We're just going to have to wait and see. I'll update you guys whenever I can. So with that being said, let's go over some stats on this game because there's a good bit to talk about. So Drew Brees was our leading passer. He was 8 for 13, had a pretty decent game coming out. The offense was struggling at the beginning of the game. There was a lot of stuff going wrong. Like, this game started off so terribly. It started off with the San Francisco 49ers got the ball. They scored on the first drive. Then we went 3 and out, muffed punt this, muffed punt that. It was horrible. But Drew Brees did have a pretty good first half with 8 completions on 13 attempts with 76 passing yards and a touchdown as well. Jameis Winston came in for the game, like I said, halfway through the game for Drew Brees. He had 6 completions on 10 attempts for 63 yards. The crazy thing is, Jameis Winston started 6 for 6 and then didn't complete a pass afterwards. So that was a little bit alarming. There were a couple of near interceptions by Jameis Winston. Pretty interesting, but I think that other than that, he played a pretty good game. He did what he needed to do. Was calling plays, getting the team down the field. He put up a field goal for us, believe it or not. So I'm actually pretty proud in the result that we got from Jameis Winston, especially when you're thrown in the middle of a game that you have to replace one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in. So pretty tough. Teddy Bridgewater had a bad first game, too, against the Los Angeles Rams. We're hoping Drew Brees is not out any games, though, but we'll just have to see. Rushing, our leading rusher was Latavius Murray. He had 9 attempts for 57 yards. He had a great game. Taysom Hill was our second leading rusher with 8 attempts for 45 yards. He had a pretty good game minus that fumble he had. Alvin Kamara had 8 attempts for 15 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns as well. Drew Brees had a rush for -1 yards, and Jameis Winston had 4 carries for -2 yards. So Latavius Murray, Taysom Hill, and Alvin Kamara all got their piece of the pie. Receiving, Alvin Kamara was the New Orleans Saints' leading receiver, which is something that I did not want to see. I love seeing Alvin Kamara play good, but when you have Michael Thomas back and you have Emmanuel Sanders, I want to see them get used more. Alvin Kamara had 7 receptions for 83 yards and a touchdown. Great game by him. But Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders and Jared Cook not getting the production they should have got kind of bothers me. And it's not because of play calling, I don't think. I think it was more of a they couldn't get open type of thing. And they didn't have their quarterback for half the game as well. You got to think of that as well, me. So I wish they got more involved, but it is what it is. Michael Thomas is our second leading receiver with 2 receptions for 27 yards. Deontay Harris was our third leading receiver with 4 receptions and 24 yards. Deontay had a pretty good game other than his muffed punt and then a fumble, I believe, as well, or another muffed punt. So not the greatest game by Deontay, but he did his thing, I guess. He had a 75-yard punt return or kick return, so that was pretty good. Jared Cook had 0 receptions for 0 yards, and Traquan Smith got taken out of the game. Jared Cook had a perfect touchdown pass thrown to him by Drew Brees that he just didn't look over the right shoulder, and it fell incomplete. So that was kind of concerning. The defense, though, guys, in this game played absolutely fantastic. They started off slow. They weren't doing what they needed to do. They weren't themselves, and then they got their swagger back. Demario Davis was our leading tackler by far. Man's had 8 tackles and a sack. He played absolutely fantastic football. There were so many tackles for losses by this defense that I'll have to wait until like a week from now or a couple days from now to get into, but amazing play by them. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a big game. He had 6 tackles for a sack and like 3 or 4 quarterback hits. The dude played insane. Whenever he was blitzing, it was fantastic. He was really rushing the quarterback down, but the problem with Chauncey was he was not playing great in coverage. I don't have the exact stats right now, but I'll have them later. The dude was getting beat up in coverage like he has pretty much every week. But I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is great. I just don't think he's a nickel safety. I don't think he should be in the nickel at all. I think he should be playing some type of linebacker or something like Von Bell was playing back in the day when he played in New Orleans. Something strong, loading up the box, stopping the run, getting easy tackles. He does not need to be in coverage because that's not his strong suit. If anything, who should be in the nickel is Patrick Robinson, who had his second end zone interception of the year this week against the San Francisco 49ers. It closed out the game, so I think that he should be there, but you guys are going to have to let me know down in the comment section below what you think. Another person who had an interception as well was Malcolm Jenkins. He had a pretty good game himself. Just this whole team, David Onyemata played fantastic. Everybody kind of balled out on the defensive side of the ball, dude. Like, they went crazy, and we had 2 sacks, 2 interceptions. It was a good game defensively. Just the amount of injuries and the offensive stalling and the special team miscues we had was kind of a little bit concerning. It just doesn't really run off right for me. The New Orleans Saints did a pretty good job against the pass. They held Nick Mullins to 24 completions on 38 attempts for 247 yards and a passing touchdown. He also threw 2 picks as well, though. Their leading rusher was Jerick McKinnon, who had 18 carries for 33 yards, which is a 1.8 average, dude. That's absolutely insane by this defense. They played a great game. Brandon Ayuk had a pretty good game, though. He had 7 receptions for 75 yards and a touchdown, but that's the extent of it. The New Orleans Saints defense did an absolutely amazing job shutting this offense down when they should have shut this offense down. The time of possession, we lost that battle, but still won by, oh God, I'm bad at math, 14 points. The San Francisco 49ers had the ball for 32 minutes and 44 seconds, while the Saints only had it for 27 minutes and 16 seconds. There was a point in the game where the 49ers had the ball for 19 minutes, and the Saints only had it for 7. So the fact that we won this game through all the adversity, through all that we had to overcome, through all the injuries, through all of the miscues, the miscommunications, the Taysom Hill turnover, the Drew Brees exiting, dude, I'm proud of it. The Saints were bad on third down. They were 3 for 12, but we still found a way to win, and that's what great teams do. When they are in a situation like this, they come out, put their feet on the ground, run head forward, and do what they need to do to get the hell out of this week and go into the next one. Like I said, boys, I'll keep you guys updated on the injuries with the team that we sustained. I'll make sure to let you guys know. Player of the game. I mean, Alvin Kamara had 3 total touchdowns, so I think I'm going to have to give it to him. But David Onyemata and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson are definitely strong runner-ups. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll keep you updated on the injuries and everything like that as I figure it out. I'll see you boys in the next one. Adios. Wow, my voice cracked. That's such a shame.